I'm going to be honest with you. This was originally supposed to be a top 10 best video game movies ever made. That's impossible. So before the countdown begins, by the way, I'm still waiting on this to become a live action movie. Could you imagine that? There'd be zombies and squirt guns and little kids throwing corn dogs. That would be amazing. And I wanted to let you guys know before you grab your popcorn and the countdown begins, this video is sponsored by Vainglory. Okay, that was my crappy epic wannabe voice. I'm going to stop now. Vainglory is a multi-online battle arena game, and it's completely free to download on iOS, the App Store, and Google Play Store. And it's based on strategy and skill. And there's multiple game modes, so if you want to play for 5 or 10 minutes or 10 hours, that's up to you. And the graphics will blow your eyeballs out of their sockets at 60 frames per second. You can also interact with a community of other players on the Vainglory forums, or you can play on Twitch, where you can broadcast your gameplay and interact with other people. Once again, Vainglory is completely free to download and play on your mobile device, aka your phone. I'll put the link in the description box to download it, have some fun, don't get scared. Now, let's dive into the top 5 best video game movies ever made. Resident Evil is based on the video game franchise of the same name. This movie is directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who directed every subsequent sequel in this franchise, which progressively just gets worse with each movie. Once again, this is a top 5 video. I had to start somewhere. This movie does have a few redeeming qualities, and it has one really cool, intense scene that takes place in this hallway. It's pretty much the hallway of death, but the thing I like most about this scene is this hallway gives you false hope. The way it starts out, you see this one deadly laser beam, and you're like, okay, I can just jump over that. Doop. And then it progressively gets harder and harder to the point where there is no escaping it, and it just turns into a grid and slices you like a piece of cheese. And before we continue on, I wanted to let you know that a very special guest host will be talking about the number 4 movie on this countdown. And why is that? Well, he likes the movie a lot more than I do. And I'll shut up now. So take it away, Chris Stuckman.
Why hello, John, and all of your viewers. I've already reviewed Tomb Raider, but when your best friend calls you up and says, hey man, can you give me some magical, mystical words about Tomb Raider, your favorite video game movie, and talk about Angelina Jolie? I mean, that's hard to say no. Tomb Raider has always been one of my biggest guilty pleasures. In fact, it is my biggest guilty pleasure. This film is really dumb and it's very stupid, but I cannot help but love it. I absolutely have so much fun whenever I watch Tomb Raider, and that's probably more often than I'd like to admit. This film is pretty much exactly what I would expect a Tomb Raider movie to be in 2001. The upcoming Tomb Raider reboot will more than likely be very dark and gritty, but this film was actually made when Hollywood still made movies that were purely for fun, and they didn't give a shit about anything else. All the villains were over the top and insane, and the heroes had magical powers and abilities, and it's just enjoyable to watch. Tomb Raider is, as I said, a humongous guilty pleasure. There's nothing amazing about this movie, but Angelina Jolie was the perfect embodiment of Lara Croft for the time this movie was made. She was basically everything the hero was in the game and more. And this film is just a total blast from start to finish. I have no qualms in saying that. It's easily my favorite video game movie as of right now, and it deserves to be on John's list. And I'm glad that it's on John's list, because if it wasn't, John, you'd be getting a knock on your door, and it would be me. And I would take over your channel and steal a lot of your movies. I guess I would leave you alive. I wouldn't kill you, because I like you.
So big thanks to my pal Chris Stuckman. Definitely check out his channel and subscribe. I'll put the link to his channel down below. The movie Silent Hill came out in 2006, and it is reminiscent to the game Silent Hill. And unlike other video game movie adaptations where they take the video game and they strip it of everything that made it great and they write a movie script for it, and then they just crap it out into the movie theater and make you pay $12 to watch it, and it just feels like a bastardized version of its former self. What was I even saying? I forgot. And it is somewhat of an eerie film. I like how somber it is, and there's a lot of isolation, and you just see one character walking around this desolated city with ash raining down. Anyway, the 2006 film Silent Hill, it feels like a real movie. It's fun to watch. I remember seeing this movie in the theaters, and I had never played the game before, and it made me want to play the game. next one up is WreckIt Ralph. Am I technically cheating? It has video game characters in it. It's based on video games. It's a video game movie. I gotta put it on the list. But then again, technically speaking, you could call movies like this a video game movie. By the way, have you ever seen The Wizard? It came out in 1990, stars Fred Savage. It's about a little boy who has a dream of going to the Nintendo Championships and beating Super Mario Bros. 3. Okay, it's really not that good of a movie, and it was essentially made to sell Power Gloves. That's the only reason this movie was made.
I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
Now let's get back to WreckIt Ralph. This could arguably be number 1 on the best video game movies ever made, but it just wouldn't feel right if I did that. And as far as the character of WreckIt Ralph goes, voiced by John C. Reilly, that is perfect voice casting. And speaking of WreckIt Ralph, the sequel comes out in 2018, and I can't wait to see what they do with that sequel.
It has begun!
Get over here! Finish him! Flawless victory. Just thinking about the soundtrack to Mortal Kombat makes me sweat. It makes me want to punch out my window and do a bicycle kick. Now, I truly love the movie Mortal Kombat. I've loved it ever since it came out in the theaters in 1995, and it's not even that phenomenal of a movie. So what does that say about video game movies? The bar is not that high, but yet they can't do better than Mortal Kombat. Now, this is the second movie on my list, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who also directed all the Resident Evil movies. And that's probably how he got the directing gig for those movies, because he directed this movie. Now, one of my favorite scenes in this film, and arguably one of the most badass scenes ever put into a movie, is the Johnny Cage Scorpion fight. And then at the very end of the scene, you see a Johnny Cage autograph signature straight out of the video game. You gotta love that. Those are my picks for the 5 best video game movies ever made. Now here's my question for you guys, and let me know down below. What is your favorite video game movie ever made? Or what video game would you like to see made into a live action movie? As always, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you click the links down below. And if you want to, subscribe. That way I can see you next time.